The Arizona Coyotes were the Stanley Cup champions, beating the Islanders in 6 games, who beat us in 7, so we didn't lose to the Stanley Cup champions. So not the greatest way to go out, but it looks like Arizona finally on the right side of things. Now we're going to take a look at some of the career statistics for some of our longest serving Red Wings here. First one we're taking a look at is Mikhail Sergachev. Now he was the big shutdown guy we had. Just look at these numbers, man. Oh, yeah. First season he served with 2017-2018, 14 points, a plus 14. The next year, 18 points, plus 12. 2 years after that, it was an even player, and it seemed like we were having a bit of defensive troubles there, but after that, plus. Just look at him. He was that shutdown guy that every team needs, and he showed up for us. Just look at the amount of minutes he played. I'm sure it's... Oh, I can't check? Okay. Well, I guess I can't check their minutes, but I'm sure he was pulling down massive minutes for us. The next one here is Sam Reinhart. Now, I think the actual year we got him was right here because he has the less game played. I'm pretty sure this is the year we got him right here. Maybe it was the next year, but if you look at that, yeah, 70-point season, then 63, 68, 62, 79, 66. A lot of good years of production with us. Always a plus player. And, yeah, he was by far one of the better offensive tools that we had. A lot of game winners, especially this last year. He was a clutch player for us. Came through at important times. Let's check out his playoff statistics as well. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Just look at that. Oh, such a good player for us. Now, although he is still pretty fresh, we are taking a look at Mark LeClaire here to see what kind of player he maybe could have turned out to be. The AHL, he was pretty dominant. NHL, he never got a 50-point season quite yet, but it looked like he was on that pace to sort of take over and maybe be that production guy. We didn't really get to see it happen. And in the playoffs, he wasn't a high producer either, so there's potential there, but we never really got to see him bloom. All right, now here is Kucherov, and this is the year we got him, 2019-2020. And what a production he had for us after that. Every year besides one, he had at least a 60-point season, so pretty damn good. We got him to be that set goal scorer, but he was a little more of a hybrid player for us. He did what he needed to do, and that's the kind of guy you definitely need on a team you want to go deep in the cup. In the playoffs, solid guy for us. 21 points in 25 games, 19 points in 20, 17 in 22, 13 in 15, and 9 in 16. So, yeah, after our repeat years, we did kind of fall off, but hey, man, what can you do? And here is the captain himself, starting from his first year of service with us, which was the 2016-2017 season. 56 points, then 48 points, 49 points, 41. So this year was the weird year that we had. I think this was I think when we were trying to maybe try him out on the second line. I can't remember, but yeah, there's one weird year that he had in there. But I mean, he was a good player for us. I mean, first line, you could argue maybe he shouldn't be the first line, but he was a captain. He played a solid two-way game, and he allowed other players to be great on the team. So that's why I love him. And when it came to the playoffs, he produced solidly. He produced with maybe you could argue a better ratio than he did in the regular season. And you know what? He got it done for us. I want to see his game winners stuff. I mean, he got some big game winners in there in the playoffs for sure. And here is Jake Bean, the offensive defenseman that we picked up to bolster our back end. His first year of service, he got 35 points, and then he just coasted, sitting around almost 50 points every season for us. And after the first couple years, he became a solid plus player at all times. Worked on his two-way game and and basically I think Foot helped him out a lot. What I'm guessing is these years he was playing with DeKaiser, and then Foot was ready. That's my guess. Because don't get me wrong, DeKaiser was good, but when Foot came in, our defensive core became brutal. And when it came to the playoffs, you cannot deny that 2019-2020 run. 20 points, man. Unbelievable. After that, not as great. We had other guys stepping up, but wow. What a point scorer for us. Alright, and here's taking a look at Callan Foot. When he first came into the NHL, only played a few games. And, 21 games, 3 goals. That seems like him. He's not an assist guy, but he was almost always a plus or even player. 2020-21, I think him and Bean were getting to know each other, but after that, solid. Just absolutely solid play from both of them. Or this guy was a lockdown guy you hope to have. That's why him and Sergachev locked it down for Hamilton and Bede. They just did incredibly. And when it came to the playoffs, he got some big goals in there. A lot of power play goals. Had a big blast from the point and a couple game winners in there. So he came through when it mattered. And I remember correctly, he got some big goals for us. Some of them were answered right back, but he came through at clutch time for us in the playoff. And he was locking it down on the back end. Now here is Mark Stone. We got this guy immediately. He was one of the first we traded for during our rebuild stages, and in his first season he kind of was the same as Larkin, whether he was always hovering around the 50-point marker, but he was normally almost always a plus player. There's a few years in here where he wasn't. That was the bad year with Larkin as well. So, but other than that, solid point producer, solid defensive player, good on the power play, and getting some game winners in there as well. But where it's going to get good is when it comes to his playoff stats, because right there, that's his Conn Smythe performance in 2022-23. That was his Conn Smythe performance, and how can you blame him? He did incredibly there, and I think he had not as many game winners. Okay, yeah, the next year he had some good game winners in there. But yeah, I mean, jeez. How do you... I mean, come on. He killed it. He absolutely killed it. Now, here's another name we had from the beginning. Riley Sheahan. And this first year, maybe even the second year, but I know the first year for sure, we actually had him on the second line as we were kind of seeing where our roster ended up. And he was a 44-point scorer with a -1. Maybe this year as well, we had him on the second line. Can't remember exactly, but... I mean, it looks like by his point scoring, that's where he would be. But after that, even after that, he was still a solid producer on that third line. This campaign right here, 2020-21, he had a lot of points. And then when we got into our Stanley Cup years, he was still right there, 30-point scorer, solid defensive player. There's a few years in here where he is a minus, but that can happen on the third line. But all those plus years in there, it's a really good sign. And in the playoffs, he did solid for us. Look at that. Those 2 years right there. My goodness, those I think were our repeat years right there, and look at that. Just look at that. I mean, yeah. Come on. Come on. Look at that. As on third line producing like that. Oh man. And probably, yeah, he got some shorties in there. No game winners and no game tires, surprisingly, but he had some elsewhere on other years. And it's the man himself, the best fourth liner in the NHL, and he played fourth line his entire career. Look at this production. You guys want to know why I call him the best fourth liner in the NHL? Look at that production on the fourth line. Sure, there's minuses in there. That's going to happen on the fourth line, but just look at that. 40 points on the fourth line? Come on, man. Come on, man. Athanasiou, he was the cornerstone of our team. He was an amazing part of our team. Even served as an alternate captain for us for a couple years. He deserved it, and I mean, come on. Just come on. He did incredible. And when it came to the playoff runs, yeah, our repeat years maybe didn't do, as good in the point department, but locked it down. Was a +3 each year. Cupping shorthanded goals. Like, look at that. Huge shorties for us. He was a penalty killer, a depth player for us, but he still found production. That's the great mark of a great NHL player. And look at that, 2 game-winning goals in that our last cup run. Unbelievable. And here's another one of the longest-serving Detroit Red Wings player, Delorier. Now, I'm not too sure when we got him. I'm thinking it's within the first couple years because he usually pops up as a free agent. So, looking from around here, I'm going to guess 2018, 2019. It might be a little later, but I don't remember anyone being anywhere that close to that plus-minus. So, I'm going to say no on that and say this is where he got on our team. Solid years of production, mixed between a plus and a minus. That'll happen there on the fourth line for anyone. But when it came to the playoffs, this guy... I'm pretty sure he got us a game-winning goal for our first Stanley Cup right here. This year right here. He had 3 goals. Okay, no, it must have been this one, yeah. It was either him or Glendening, but I thought it was Delorier who got us a game-winning goal at some point. But, yeah. he was a good player for us, man. Played the tough minutes with Athanasiou, and was a penalty killer for us. And, okay, this must have been the year we got him, 2019, 2020. Unless, no, we missed the playoffs one year, didn't we? I can't remember. I don't remember which year it is, but, yeah. He was a good player for us. You can't deny it. Can't deny it at all. And here is perhaps the man of the hour. The guy who stuck with us on the back end the entire way, Peter Mrazek, look at those records, man. The first season we had him, 31-29. Yeah, not that great. His personal stats weren't as great either. He was never that really stand on your head type goalie for us, but he got the job done when it mattered. I mean, you could see his stats kind of improved over time. He hovered around the solid 2.4 goals against average with a .92 save percentage, especially at the end here. But as you can see, that was, you could say, around his average for his career. .92 save percentage with the goals against average of 2.45, you know, somewhere around there, which it's not amazing, but he locked it down for us, and he didn't, you know, we had a good backup for him for a long time as well. And when it came to the playoffs, though, this is where he got good. Just look at these playoff stats, man. Right there, 1.6 goals against average with a .945, 2.01, .935, 2.41. This was technically not his worst year. 2.41, .9220, and then right here, these 2 years were a repeat. And interestingly, this was his Conn Smythe performance, and how can you say no? I mean, that is a Conn Smythe performance, man. 1.42 goals against average, .95. This was the year Stone won the Conn Smythe, and that was actually Peter Mrazek's worst year in the playoffs. He didn't give up the most goals. It's in the fewer games that he was there, and we placed a lot of high scoring performance in that one, so our offense had to win it for us. And even in the times we lost these 2 games, he had stellar playoff performances. So this guy was a guy who locked it down. Look at this, though. When he won the Conn Smythe, how can you take that away? 4 shutouts in the playoffs? Jeez, man. Peter Mrazek was an absolute monster for us. Just absolute monster. And when you talk about Peter Mrazek, you have to mention his backup, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Difficult name to pronounce, but you can see his first year coming into the NHL, only played 6 games, didn't have the greatest showing. It's when we were making the transition, we moved the last backup we had, which I can't remember who it was at the time, brought up Luukkonen, didn't have the greatest start, but after that, he became the solid backup for us. Better year the next year, and then, look at that, 18 games played, 1.97 goals against average with a .9334 save percentage. 25 games played, 2.16 goals against average with a .928, and then this last season, 23 games played, 2.3 goals against average, and a save percentage of .928. You can't take anything away from him. He was a solid backup for us for 5 years. That's a great pretty damn good numbers. And in the AHL, he was a damn good goalie in the AHL as well. All right, let's see his playoff stats. He didn't really play too much in the playoffs, and when he did, he wasn't the greatest. But yeah. Oh wow, yeah. This was a weird year where he came in and he never allowed a goal because he was just mopping up. That was, I think, one of the, maybe not the bad year for Mrazek, but not really a good year. Yeah. Oh, that's funny to look at though. So in closing, I want to thank you guys all for your support of this series over time and sticking with me for all those 9 years. It's pretty cool. And this is my second actual complete GM mode here. The last one I did was in 2015, 2016. We were never able to finish due to glitches. So I want to thank you guys for standing by me, all the support, all the comments, all of the help. It's been amazing to see this channel grow and all that kind of stuff. And let's look forward to the next one. So, Detroit, I take my leave. Good luck in the future, but it's time for GM Cyn to move on to the next team. Who's it gonna be?